What do you have to say to people who say Ukraine has the right to join NATO?
I think the whole concept of looking at this in terms of a country's right to join NATO is really to sort of misframe the entire issue. I mean, NATO is a military defense pact.
Yeah.
And the idea that some country who's not part of the pact has a, kind of a right to join the pact, I don't think it makes sense. I mean, what you're really talking about is the question of would bringing Ukraine into NATO, number one, would it enhance the security of the countries that are already in NATO and have to decide whether to admit Ukraine? And number two, a factor of this too. I mean, this is in some sense secondary because the countries that are currently in NATO have to be given priority in terms of what their security needs are. But even if we want to really extend this to take into account Ukraine's security needs, I mean, it's a kind of crazy idea that taking Ukraine in will, ipso facto, by that factor alone, make Ukraine more secure, no matter what the leaders of Ukraine happen to think. So, I think it's destabilizing, and ultimately destabilizing is the worst thing you can do for either the current members or for Ukraine. So, so the whole rights issue seems to me it's a kind of rhetorical gambit by the people that wanted to bring Ukraine in, that they're framing, or I would say misframing, the issue in terms of rights. I have a statement in the book, a kind of a particular phrase I use. How do you define the right to join NATO? Well, the right to join NATO in a sort of operational sense, in this case, would be the right to place a Western military arsenal on Russia's border. That's a kind of another way of looking at how rights are being defined here. But again, I would really go with the concept that the whole concept of rights just doesn't exactly apply in this situation. And it really is a kind of, whether the people who are using it are actually confused or whether they're doing it as sort of a deliberate sort of demagogic kind of gambit, I don't know. But I think they're mistaken to be framing it that way.